Welcome to Alive and Well, the podcast for the new era of high achievers. You're done burning out, and you're ready to lead, work, and live in a rhythm that honors both your brilliance and your body. I'm your host, Michelle Grosser. I'm a trial attorney turned nervous system strategist, and I've lived the burnout story. I know what it's like to chase your goals at the expense of your well-being. And I also know it doesn't have to be that way. Here, we're redefining success. It's where productivity feels peaceful, boundaries feel like freedom, and energy comes from within. Each week, I'll share practical tools for nervous system regulation, time mastery, and somatic strategies so you can show up with clarity, calm, and confidence in every part of your life. Because you, my friend, were given a spirit of power, love, and a sound mind. So here's to life and living it fully. This is the path to feeling alive and well. Let's dive in. Hey friends, welcome to Alive and Well. I'm your host, Michelle Grosser. And today we're going to talk about something that I see all the time. I see so many brilliant, driven, ambitious women trying every productivity hack under the sun, the time blocking, the to-do list, the calendar apps, right? Pomodoro technique, like all these different things. And it can feel really frustrating because they're doing all the things and still feeling like they're stuck in disorganization, hot mess express, chaos, exhaustion, emotional whiplash, all the things. And if you can relate to any part of that, I think this episode is going to be really helpful for you and give you some aha moments to take with you, because the real problem, you guys, is not only your calendar, right? It's so much deeper than that. And it's why I have such a chip on my shoulder about a lot of the, time management, productivity space. Because until and unless our nervous system is regulated, we literally don't have access to the part of our brain that allows us to put these tools, tips, hacks, what have you, into practice, right? So you can have all of the plans and calendar apps and color-coded calendars and techniques and planners and whatever, all the things, right? And then when you're not feeling regulated, it feels, one, really overwhelming to put all of this stuff together. But then second, we tend to feel stuck or frozen, or we procrastinate, or we have the planner sitting right there just collecting dust, and we're not actually putting it into practice because we first have to regulate, right? And I just kind of want to break it down a little bit and then talk about 3 of the reasons that I see as to why productivity hacks don't feel like they're working and what I think is a better approach. And I kind of want to start with this because I came across it. It's Microsoft's 2023 Work Trend Index. And I mean, there's a lot of things that came out of that study, but a few of them that I think really hit for us is that they found that 80% of people feel like they're always on, even after hours, guys. 80% of us feel like we cannot take a break, like we can't turn it off. It has nothing to do with our 9 to 5 or whatever our working hours are. Even when we're not quote unquote on, we feel like we're on, right? 1 in 3 women, so it's 80% of people feel like they're always on, but 1 in 3 women in corporate roles are considering quitting because of emotional exhaustion. The load, the mental and emotional load of doing all the things. I mean, I don't have to tell you guys, right? It's a lot. And yet we keep trying to fix emotional and psychological overwhelm with more apps and digital tools and hacks and planners and surface level solutions. And that's not the solution. Real productivity actually starts in your body, not in your planner. Let me say that again. Real productivity starts in the body, not in your planner. A dysregulated nervous system is what's probably, very likely, quietly under the surface, behind the scenes, sabotaging your best efforts to be organized and feel fulfilled at the end of the day and get stuff done. And today, let's unpack why, right? Let's unpack 3 of these top reasons why your productivity hacks aren't working. And then for each one, what I want to do is I want to just show you how it's tied to the nervous system. If your brain works anything like mine, I want to understand, right? I want it to like be explained to me. I want to see the tie and the connection. Don't just tell me what's going on or what your theory is. Like, explain to me what's actually happening. Make it make sense. And then I want to tell you guys what I think is a better approach. So, reason number 1 that your productivity tools and hacks and apps aren't working is chronic overwhelm. You feel like you're always behind. You feel like you're always late. You feel like there's always too much to do and there's not enough help and not enough resources, right? And even when you're like busy going all day long, from the moment your feet hit the ground in the morning, you're going, you still feel overwhelmed. Now, the science behind it. Overwhelm is actually a physiological state, right? This isn't like a mindset thing where it's like, my brain just like can't handle everything I have to get done today. It's not just a mindset thing. It's a physiological state. Overwhelm happens in your body. When your nervous system is stuck in sympathetic dominance, right? Fight or flight response, your brain will always prioritize survival over any sort of logic or planning or strategic thinking. So what does that mean? That means that when you're under chronic stress, your prefrontal cortex, which is your brain's executive function center, that goes offline, you guys. Offline. You don't have access to that part of your brain when you're under chronic stress. So what does that look like? It means it's really hard to make decisions. It means you feel really disorganized. It means you have a really hard time prioritizing tasks, right? Everything feels important and you sit down and you don't know where to start. So you're just kind of frozen, or you find that you have a really short attention span, or you're always multitasking, constant task switching, right? That's what it looks like when your executive function center of your brain is offline. Even when you sit down and you want to be productive, you want to focus, your brain literally can't. And when we talk about the different circuits of our nervous system, right? When we talk about polyvagal theory and being in a fight or flight response or a freeze response, I talk about this a lot, but when you think about the circuits of your nervous system, sometimes we can think about the fight or flight response as our body's gas pedal, as though we were a car, right? In a car, you hit the gas pedal and you go. That's the fight or flight circuit. That's that sympathetic dominance. And then a car also has a brake, right? If there's not enough gas in the tank, or if you don't think that you're going to be able to, escape a threat with a high-speed chase, your brain subconsciously slams the brake and shuts everything down, right? You go into a freeze response. When we are in overwhelm or experiencing overwhelm, it's actually a blended state. It's an in-between state. So what does that mean? It means that our body's gas pedal and our body's brake are both pushed pedal to the metal, which makes so much sense. We're experiencing fight or flight energy, all this go, go, go. I have so much to do today, right? So many tasks. I've got to get going. All this activating energy. And at the same time, because we're in a freeze response and our body has pushed the brake in our nervous system, we're so overwhelmed by everything that has to get done that we kind of feel frozen. And that's what it feels like to be in a state of overwhelm. So much to do. Sympathetic dominance, fight or flight response. So much to do. We're just going to stop deer in the headlights and we won't get anything done because there's so much to do and we're so overwhelmed. Where does this come from? So often what I see is that women running this, constant chronic overwhelm traces so far back. You guys, it traces back oftentimes to childhood experiences where high performance meant that you were going to be approved of, validated, seen, appreciated, loved on, what have you, insert something that felt really safe there. That came through high performance. So if you grew up having to stay, quote unquote, on, always performing, always achieving, always being the good one or the easy one or the perfect one or, whatever. Like I'm here with my hand raised as a, overachiever. Being perfect to feel safe and secure and loved and approved of and accepted, your nervous system now equates slowing down, not being on go all the time as unsafe, right? As a threat to all of these things that we need to be okay. It sabotages productivity because, and maybe these will resonate with you, and this is how I usually see it show up. We waste so much time prepping, right? So much time preparing to work because it's the actual work that feels threatening, right? It's the actual focus that feels like it's too much and too overwhelming. So we'll do all of these little tasks that never move the needle. We get lost in our email inbox, right? We clean our desk out. We go through our planner and plan out the day. Whatever things that we do, which are all forms of procrastination. And it feels like we're getting ready to do deep work, but it's not actually getting anything done and it's moving the needle. So it's sabotaging our productivity. Another way that it sabotages productivity when we're in chronic overwhelm is we start to multitask because in some way that kind of soothes our anxiety of this fear that we're not doing enough. So we're like, oh man, I have so much to do. I have this subconscious fear that I'm not doing enough and I'm going to fall behind and it's just going to get worse and spiral. So I'm going to try to do 6 things at one time, right? And we're on our phone at the same time that we're listening to something and we're responding an email in our inbox and we're trying to create something. And, there's nothing productive about that. And what happens is that we end up prepping and multitasking and over planning and under executing because we're so overwhelmed by our list. Okay, so when it comes to chronic overwhelm, what do I recommend that we do instead? Task containment. Containment, just practice it. Can you focus on doing one thing, not from 7 things to 4 things? Can you find the discipline to do one thing for 20 minutes, right? Set a timer. And when you feel your brain start to want to prepare for it or spiral or pause, whatever's going on, right? We have that urge to multitask, pause, orient, help your nervous system to feel safe, right? Whatever that looks like. Maybe it's a quick body scan coming back to your body. Maybe it's a couple physiological sighs if breath helps to ground you. Maybe it is just grounding in your senses, right? Doing a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What are 5 things I can see? What are 4 things I can touch? What are 3 things I can hear? What are, and going through your senses, coming back to your body. And you will find that it is way more productive to focus on one thing at a time from a place of presence, fully in your body, in a place where you have full access to your prefrontal cortex and your executive function skills, instead of being on that hamster wheel of overwhelm. So that's the first one. The second reason your productivity hacks aren't working, people pleasing. Oh my gosh. This one, I've run this for so long and it still pops up when I'm not careful. And it's just the why you can't say no even when you want to. And we talk about this a lot, but people pleasing, it's not a character thing. It's not a bad habit. It's not, well, that's just how my mom was, so that's how I am. It is a stress response, just like fight, flight, or freeze. Fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. It's a fawn response. You're fawning when you're people pleasing, right? It's one of the lesser known trauma responses. Fawning is when your nervous system seeks safety by appeasing others. You're appeasing, you're pleasing others. It means that you're saying yes when everything in your being wants to scream no. And you don't do this because you're weak. You don't do it because, for whatever other reason. You do it because your nervous system thinks that if you comply and if you say yes. And if you keep everyone around you happy, again, it comes back to, well, what increases my chances for safety and love and approval and ultimately survival? And it's subconscious, right? And our body sends us into this pattern of appeasing. Your vagus nerve, that's our body's primary regulator of our parasympathetic nervous system, our calming mechanism in our body. It gets hijacked by social cues, especially cues of rejection, cues of disapproval, cues of disappointment. If that made us feel really uncomfortable or unsafe, or like love was going to be taken from us in our early experiences, right? Back to childhood. So maybe you grew up in a house where, there was this like unspoken expectation that like, don't rock the boat, right? Don't disagree. Don't talk back. Don't speak your mind. Don't share your preferences or your needs if it's going to cause someone else to be inconvenienced, right? Don't rock the boat, where that's the norm in a household. So often that raises people pleasers, high achievers, you guys. All of us listening, I'm sure, can resonate. Like, and our parents meant well by this, right? None of this is, them like trying to create these patterns in us. High achievers were praised for being easy, right? And not just even by our caregivers, but by our teachers, by our babysitters, by our grandparents, by our aunts and uncles, by our neighbors. Like if we were the ones who were easy and helpful and flexible and accommodating, we were praised for that, right? We got like A's and little notes on our report cards when we were young for being the helpful one who's just so easygoing and accommodating. And it also comes from environments where if we said no or talked back, and I'm not even like talking about being disrespectful or disobedient to our parents. I'm just talking about maybe even like asking questions or disagreeing where there was no space for that, and that led to punishment, or that led to our parents giving us the silent treatment or withdrawing or what have you. It felt really unsafe to our little developing nervous system. So we just didn't do that anymore, right? We stopped doing that because if I disagree or I say no or I disappoint you, I'm going to be punished, or your love or attention or approval or what have you is going to be withdrawn from me. So our little nervous system's like, we're not doing that again, right? But then it becomes a pattern. And now we're adults where subconsciously we have a really hard time saying no because our nervous system is a library and it has stored away from when we were young that when we disagreed or said no or declined or disappointed, something happened like us being punished or withdrawn from, and that didn't feel good. Okay, so how does that relate to productivity? How does it sabotage productivity? Well, it shows up in a lot of different ways. I think the most common way I see it showing up is that we overcommit, right? We're so afraid to say no because we think we might disappoint someone else, or they're going to like go through the trouble of preparing something or inviting us to something. And then if we say no, they're going to be disappointed, or they're counting on us. So we have to say yes. And we overcommit and we say yes, even though we have no margin and no bandwidth for it. And then what happens is that when we keep overcommitting because of people pleasing, we start to feel resentful. We start to feel depleted. We even start to feel distracted because there's just too much going on. And we start to say yes to things that actually derail our priorities. And when we are not super clear on what our personal values and priorities are, and we do not have strong boundaries protecting those, and we're just saying yes to all the things because we don't want to disappoint people or inconvenience them, and that derails our priorities, that creates this sense that we are living out of alignment with our values, and that causes burnout, you guys. It's exhausting. And then when we're filling our calendar with everyone else's needs because we can't say no, and we're so worried about keeping everyone else happy, it leaves no time for our own needs, right? And that brings us back to those feelings of being resentful and depleted. So what do I think is a better approach than people pleasing? I mean, this is all rooted in safety, right? So it's like, it's rooted in safety, and a safe body, a safe nervous system is able to set and hold healthy boundaries. So the next time you're asked to do something or participate in something or lead something or pick something up that you actually don't want to, or even if you think you do want to, instead of being an automatic yes, can you just buy some time, right? Hey, I'm so honored you would ask me to do that. Can I get back to you tomorrow morning? And then ground yourself before you actually give a response, right? Ask, like, is saying yes to this, is what's being asked of me aligned with a version of myself that I want to be becoming, like that I want to be moving toward, or not, right? Because it's one or the other. And if the request is aligned with the version of you that you want to become, y'all go for it. Awesome. That's not going to lead to resentment and depletion. But more often than not, if we're doing it from a place of people pleasing and trying to keep other people happy, then it's not going to be aligned with the version of you that you want to become. And it's probably a no, right? And then respond. Respond using language that affirms the boundary. Man, thanks so much for asking me. In another season, I would love to help with this, but I'm actually at capacity right now. I don't have the bandwidth for that right now. Like, that's become one of my go-tos, and it's made it so much easier for me to set healthy boundaries, express healthy boundaries, ultimately in order to protect my personal values and the things that I say are actually important to me, my priorities, my family, right? So that's the second. And then the third reason your productivity hacks aren't working, you guys, is because you are operating from a place of constant urgency. You just can't stop hustling. Hustling is not productive. Hustling is a hallmark of sympathetic nervous system stuck in hypervigilance. When you are in a state of urgency, so much to do, not enough time, let's go, put your shoes on, we gotta get out of the house, right? You're just like going all the time so fast, always running behind, always feeling like you're late for things, or you don't have enough time to get stuff done. What that does in your body is it releases a flood of stress hormones, right? We gotta move faster. Cortisol, pump out. Adrenaline, pump out. Flood my system. And our body forgets how to be. It only knows how to do, because cortisol and adrenaline are doers. They are not beers. And you, my friend, are a human being. You are not a human doing. And when we do this over time, the constant sense of urgency and the flooding of cortisol and adrenaline, it shifts our perception of time. Our brain starts to interpret everything as time sensitive, even when it's not. And I don't know how many of you guys can relate to this, but I certainly can. Like, I remember seasons of my life, days, weeks, months, where everything feels like it's time sensitive. And I really stopped asking myself and sitting down and reflecting on, like, hey, what's actually most important here, right? And instead, I'm just like trying to get everything done. And it's that whole thing of like, if everything's a priority, then nothing is a priority, right? If everything's important, then nothing is important. And I'm just asking myself, like, what's most urgent? And that's not really a place I want to be operating from. And that, again, I think comes from so much cultural conditioning that our worth is equal to our output, right? Our value is equal to our productivity. The more I can produce, the more I can get done in a day, the more people I can help, the more, things I can check off my list, the more I can get done for the kids' classroom and my workspace and all the things, like the more valuable I am. And we've been so conditioned to believe that. I think another thing where we get kind of stuck here with this urgency, this constant urgency, is so many of us are running perfectionistic patterns as a trauma response. So when things feel like they have to be just so, right? Every I dotted, every T crossed, everything to this unrealistic level of perfection, that causes a sense of urgency. It can't go out, right? It's not perfect yet. It's not ready. It's not perfect yet. Let me take a look at it for the 47th time and adjust, 3 words in this email before it goes out. And then we start getting behind, and then that sense of urgency creeps in because we're not actually being productive, right? And I think we can kind of fall into this internalized capitalism where it's like, if I'm not producing, I'm falling behind, right? If I'm not creating something and everyone else is, then by default, like they're all moving ahead of me and I'm just falling behind. And that is not true. That is a lie. And how does it sabotage our productivity? You guys have probably felt this. I know I certainly have. I do not stop all day long and then get to the day and feel like nothing gets quote unquote done, or nothing has gotten quote unquote done. Have you ever felt like that? Like you get to the end of the day and you're beat, like you are exhausted and you're like, holy, I did not stop for 5 minutes today. Why does it feel like I got nothing done? And it's because I know when those days happen, I was stuck all day long on the hamster wheel that did nothing to move the needle in my life, in my work, in my marriage, in my business, in my family. I was just like all day long, but not actually getting anything done. There was nothing productive in my urgency of the day. It also, I've seen sabotage productivity because when we're stuck in this, we start micromanaging. We start micromanaging everyone around us, right? We micromanage our kids. We micromanage our partners. We micromanage the people on our team because slowing down feels unsafe. So if we are stuck in this lie of everything is urgent and it's got to happen right now, and other people are not moving at the same pace, have y'all ever felt that? Like super triggered and annoyed because someone else is slow? Like maybe they are speaking even slowly, or your kids are moving slowly, or your husband's trying to tell you a story and he just can't spit it out fast enough. He's like speaking slowly and it drives you crazy because you're stuck in this sympathetic dominance in your nervous system where slow equals unsafe because everything's got to happen and it's got to happen now and everything is urgent. And that's the energy we're operating from. And then finally, I think it sabotages productivity because when we're in that space of constant urgency, you can't rest in that space, even when you're tired, even when you're exhausted, even when you're like done, depleted, gas tank empty, you cannot rest because guess what? Urgency like that is a mountain with no peak, guys. There's always something else to get done. There's always something else. So what do we do instead? I think when it comes to this, we really have to lean into slowness, like the discomfort of slowing down on purpose. Sometimes when I feel myself, like I feel this urgency creeping in, I'll start the day, like I can feel it before I even get out of bed in the morning. And I just like, I'm awake and I'm like, oh my gosh, so much to get done today. I'm like, all right, slow shower today. Slow shower. You are not going to like get in the shower and like wash your hair so fast, condition it, like get out the shower, no, you're going to take a slow shower today. You're not going to be listening to a podcast and multitasking. You're going to take a slow, low stimulation shower, quiet, dim the lights, right? Wash your hair slowly. You're not going to scurry around the house today. You're going to walk slowly and with intention, right? You're not going to like hurry up and make your coffee while you're eating breakfast, standing up. And I'm going to slowly make my coffee and then I'm going to sit there and I'm going to stir it and then I'm going to smell it and hold it. And then I'm going to like enjoy it as I drink it and trying to just really intentionally slow down on purpose. And reminding my body what I'm doing in that slowness is I'm not just like driving myself cuckoo. I'm reminding my body that slowness is actually safe. It's okay for me to slow down, right? Sometimes I'll even really focus on slowing my exhale. So maybe I'll just do a few rounds of breath work where I'm breathing in maybe for a count of 4 and then exhaling for a much longer breath, a longer exhale. So maybe inhaling for 4 and exhaling for 6 or exhaling for a count of 8. Longer
exhales stimulate our parasympathetic activity, that calming mechanism of our nervous system. So maybe I'll just do that for a minute or two, really just resetting that urgency instead of subconsciously not even being aware of it and letting it just run the show all day long, because it is not productive. It's fake, right? It's a facade. It feels like we're being busy and getting things done, but we are not. Okay, so those are the 3 for today. Those are the 3 reasons that your productivity hacks aren't working. The first one is you're stuck in chronic overwhelm. The second one is you're in a pattern of people pleasing. And the third is that you feel constant urgency. So if you can relate to this and you've been feeling stuck in stress, despite having all of these productivity tricks and hacks and tools at your disposal, it's not your fault. It's not that you're lazy or ill-equipped or disorganized or, I don't know, you lack motivation or self-control or what have you. You're not disciplined enough. Productivity actually isn't a mindset issue. It can become a mindset issue. If your nervous system is regulated, then your mindset will come on board and be really helpful. But until your nervous system feels safe enough for your body to just, right, exhale, stand down, feel regulated, calm, present, grounded, have access to the part of my brain that's responsible for my executive function, bam, then we can become productivity machines. But guys, I just want to affirm for you, remind you that the most effective people I know, the most creative people I know, the most impactful people I know, they're not obsessed with managing their time. They're really not. They're really, really good at regulating their nervous system and regulating their energy, right? They know how to manage their energy. None of us manage time. That's ridiculous, right? Time does not change just because of how I use it, right? Time, at least the time that we operate in, is quite linear. What I can control is my energy and the state of my nervous system. And the most effective and creative and impactful people I know how to do that. They know how to regulate their energy. They know when to pause. They know how to build habits that support their biology. They've learned to work with their nervous system, not against it. And that's so much of what we teach inside my signature group program, Burnout Recovery Blueprint. So good. But if you guys want to start resetting your stress response today, you can go ahead and grab my free nervous system reset guide. There's a link for it in the show notes. And it starts with a really simple assessment just to see where you're at on the scale of nervous system regulation and burnout. And then you get a bunch of different somatic practices to help your body start to feel safe and regulate in real time. Because the truth is, as much as I wish I could, I can't organize my way out of a dysregulated nervous system, right? But I can have tools and practices and the awareness to help bring safety, a felt sense of safety to my body that can heal my nervous system. And when I do that, everything changes from that point, right? And then I can really have access to the parts of my brain and the tools and the hacks and the tips that help me show up and be productive, not in like the hustle culture way, but in a way that feels really grounded and fulfilling. And that is such not only a good place to operate from, but it's such a great feeling to end the day feeling so fulfilled. Okay. Thank you so much for being with me today. I love y'all so much. I'll talk to you soon.
If you love Mommy's Podcast, leave a review.
Thanks for listening to Alive and Well. If today's episode resonated, would you do me a favor? Take 30 seconds and leave a 5-star rating and short review. It really helps to get this show out to other people just like you who could also use the information in this podcast. And if you're ready to take the next step in regulating your nervous system, download my free nervous system reset guide. It's linked right in the show notes. Inside, you'll find simple, body-based practices to help you feel more clear, calm, and connected starting today. Make sure you're following the show so you don't miss out on what's coming next, because you were made to thrive. Fully alive, fully present, and fully well. I'll see you soon.